Frank. What's the weirdest thing you've ever saw in here?
Let me ask you a question, kid. Did you see that movie, Night of the Living Dead?
Hey, we gonna party tonight or what?
Yeah, we are gonna party.
Well, where are we gonna party?
I don't know, somewhere.
Hey, we could go to the park.
Oh, no, we can't. The cops said they'd shoot us if we go back to the park. Yeah, and I ain't in no mood to go tonight.
I like that.
Greetings, ghouls, and welcome to Minute 14 of Do You Want to Party, a Movies by Minute podcast of the 1985 groundbreaking horror classic, The Return of the Living Dead. I'm your host, Troy, and today I'm being joined by a repeat guest host, a fellow cosplayer and a good friend of mine.
Daniel Goodland.
There you
back
go.
on the scene.
Back on the scene, yes. Thank you again for doing this, Dan. It's part of my process to, seeing I'm doing a weekly base, I'm going to get a couple of handful of people to be able to cycle through, and this is your second time through, so hopefully second of many to come.
And lucky to always find me awake, I guess. 'Cause I'm never awake anymore.
All right, so we're going to start off with minute 14. Starts with he got a job and ends with the choice of hanging out in a nearby cemetery. So we open up this particular minute and we are greeted with the cast of punks that are involved in this. We now have the full gang together. As the very tail end of the previous minute, we saw them all in the 59 Cabriolet, and as it's driving along the road next to the LA River, which of course we know the movie's not taking place in LA, but it actually is Louisville, Kentucky. Yes.
Now I was looking into this because I thought it was a 59, but a recent recent X quote post by director John Otis says it's a 1960, and that was on
I see what you're
July
saying.
3rd.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just gonna go like the research that I did. Like, there's nothing that is actually related to the actual production of the movie that I could actually find. Like, what is the actual vehicle? All the information that I found is people that are trying to, like, customize to make a cosplay version of that vehicle for their own sort of deals, and people doing models and whatnot. And everyone is referring to this as the 59 Cadillac. It could have been like one of those, it was purchased in 1959, but is actually the 1960 model or whatever, or something like that. So I don't know the origins of the actual vehicle itself, like who brought it into production. I have not come across that information yet from all the research that I've been doing towards the movie and all that. But I'm just going with the consensus. But if someone else has also stated that, there's a good chance it could be in 1960 as well. But one way or another, there's not much of a difference between the 59 and the 60.
No, there really isn't. I was just questioning it because I was surprised when John Otis was posting that. He posted the picture of the punks with the car and goes, the 1960 Cadillac convertible. And I was like, really? I always thought it was a 59.
Yeah. I mean, this coming from me,
everything online.
So anyways, so we didn't go into it because we had an expedition, information dump last week. Like I said, the song by the Damned, Deadbeat Dance, is still playing in the background of this whole entire sequence. Gets to a point where it actually obscures part of the actual conversation going on in the vehicle. So as we're introduced, we see in close-up, we get to see for the first time Suicide, who actually is probably the most punk looking of all the punks. He's right down to he's got a trail of paper clips attached to his nostril all the way up to his ear. He's got the black leathers on. He's got the bike chains over top of it. He's got it's not like he's got fingerless gloves, but he's got like a wrapping around the middle of his hand. The only thing is about beautifully shaved sides of his head and whatnot, and he has the attitude of a punk. The only thing about his look from what we see right here is he is way too clean. All of the chrome is all so nice and brand new, out of the box looking. It's all shiny and whatnot. There's not a lick of, I even hate to point it out, but like Scuzz looks more worn in than Suicide does. And for the most part, these kids all look clean cut. The
Even Pink Ranger. Yeah.
yes, exactly. Because Tina is all clean whites and the light blue and all that sort of thing. Suicide, and like I said, in the back seat we've got Chuck, and we've got Spider, we got Scuzz, and we've got Casey also there, especially in this sequence here. The four of them packed into the back. At the very end, Chuck is holding on to the boombox, which is precariously balancing on the actual the soft top of the vehicle. Casey is just like squashed between Chuck and Spider. Jules Shepard doesn't do very much in pretty much this sequence until the vehicle comes to a halt in the next scene. Spider is doing his best to act with a prop. He's got the bottle of champagne that is clearly just water. And he even does the whole entire tilting the bottle up into the air to look like he's guzzling. You know what? When you drink something, you see the bubbles coming up through whatever you're drinking as it looks like it's pouring into your mouth and all that. None of that happens. He even actually, when he takes the bottle down for his mouth, he even mimics the fact that he looks like he had just swallowed a mouthful. He's like licking his lips and all that. And then we got reading a magazine with his foot up on the windowsill of the backseat is Scuzz. He's got his painted and markered up. So Scuzz, again, backseat, done up in his punk mohawk and all that sort of, is reading a magazine called Weird Trips. And like I said, they're all hanging out and whatnot. The conversation goes on about how Freddy's new job and how Suicide is like, why do you guys always like just call on me when you need a ride? He gets into a confrontation with Spider, and as this conversation goes into a bit of a more violent thing, he suddenly leaps up and this is Suicide, leaps up from the driver's seat and goes into the back seat to like throttle Spider, and then Tina has to quickly grab at the front wheel to keep in control. Now, this whole entire sequence, this whole entire profile shot of the whole entire cast in the car is not, now I haven't been able to find anything that actually states that this is, but even in the commentary track and anything like that, I haven't heard anyone talking about the filming of this scene and how it goes. But it obviously is on a trailer. It is being pulled along on a trailer with the camera set outside because you got a nice steady shot and all that sort of thing, showing the whole entire cast doing this one thing. I also say that it is I'm going out and saying this is an educated guess. Technically, I'm not going to use educated because if you look at the chrome of the front of the windshield right up by where Suicide is on the driver's side during the sequence, and again, this is something you discover when you watch a movie minute by minute, you analyze over and over again to see if you can find anything new. You see the camera reflected in the chrome of the vehicle. You actually can make I think one or two different characters. You can't see too much detail, but it's definitely two people in the tiny little, and again, you only see this if you're zooming in and you look at it and all that, which means they're on the back of a flat truck being pulled along the side of the road. Someone is obviously shaking the vehicle because it moves separately than the camera, because I highly doubt they're moving the camera. The camera's probably just locked off in that one position, and they're just rocking it on the shocks that are on the vehicle and whatnot as they're having this conversation. Because obviously you're not going to have these people just driving and all of a sudden the driver let go of the wheel and all that sort of thing, because they're moving at a steady, straight pace. Then when the camera cuts to the scene, like cuts directly to the next shot after Tina takes the wheel, the vehicle on itself is just wildly going down the road over a train track as the railroad sign is about to come off, and you hear everyone screaming and whatnot. It's obviously clear that they're obviously not going to put their actors into that much peril by doing this sort of situation, but something that you can only notice that.
Oh, the constant speed with the when he turns around was pretty awesome, because when you're not pressing a gas pedal.
Yes, you're going to slow down quite a bit. Yes, exactly. Because there's no way you're going to turn as much around as Suicide does to grab at Spider and still have your foot on the friggin' gas pedal. It's impossible for you to be able to do that
Completely.
Yes, yeah. But again, it's for the effect. It's great. It's a fantastic shot. We then cut to the next shot where the music is no longer playing. The music is no longer playing, and you hear the heavy thudding motor as it comes to off camera on screen. And we can see in the background the Unida warehouse in the background, and the car comes to a full stop, and then that's where we have the conversation about let's go get Freddy, and Tina's all, I don't think so.
Yeah, that stop scene ticks me off so hard, because for years and to today, I was just, even for this, looking up, what does the bumper sticker say? Drives me crazy.
Yeah, it basically, it's one of those I break for bumper stickers. But it says at the top, it says I break for, and the bottom is I cannot for the life of me figure out.
And that's just it, because I was reading what people thought it was, and I was like, nope, too many letters. Nope, not enough letters.
Not enough letters. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I spent the last like 20 minutes and like, okay, let's see, how can I enhance this? I can zoom in. Once it gets to a certain point, and the best I can make out is, like I said, I break for, and yeah, it's like hell's something or whatnot, but it
just hurts me that I don't know, because that'd be a bumper sticker to have.
Exactly. I even went into like so many like Google searches of like Suicide's bumper sticker, first of all. Yeah, exactly. And no one has, I can tell you what almost every single detail of the spray paint of both sides and the hood and the trunk of that vehicle. For the life of me, no one has either reproduced or been able to figure out what it like. And again, like you said, there's too many contradictions. Like it's impossible. That's not enough words. That's too many words.
It would have been cute if it said I break for zombies, but that wouldn't have been appropriate.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Cute, yes, but
yeah.
I also like the one that was let me know if you find any of my parts.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, to point it out, yeah, definitely. If you just do a simple little image search, you can see all the different things that are written all over the side of it. Like in the very front, obviously, from the first shot that we see as the actual car is on the road from the end of the previous minute as it's coming towards camera, we see Suicide, the name of the character, spray painted in red right across the very front. On the hood, we have like "Who cares?" with a giant question mark, which comes into shot every single time. We have a skull and crossbones on the passenger side, front wheel well. Along that whole entire driver's side is "Why bother?" and whatnot. Obviously, later on, we get to see more details and all that sort of thing as we come in closer and whatnot. But
so on the front of the hood, doesn't it say Suicide? So it goes, "Who cares?"
Yes.
Suicide.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, yes, exactly. Well, I mean, when we first see it, though, it's at the very front curve of the thing. So when you see the vehicle for the first time, you just see Suicide coming at you in red. And then when you see the whole entire thing, yes, written in black spray paint is, yes, exactly. Is how
I just like the tie-in because it sounded too cute for a deadhead.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe not a deadhead, but
yeah. They pull up to this whole entire thing. They discuss picking up Freddy. Tina then warns that they might be too much for his new employers to handle. We figure something out that is an interesting sequence. We know that at the end of the previous minute that this is 7:30 p.m. Tina then mentions that Freddy's not being done work until 10 o'clock. Suicide says, "I'm not going to sit around here for 2 hours," which is understandable. Okay, 2.5 hours, whatever. Maybe it's been 30 minutes since the last cut between them driving through the train tracks to get to where Freddy actually works. My question is, I'm going to jump back to like early minutes, And the conversation that Frank mentions, that when he's talking to his wife on the phone, that he's just going to be about an hour wrapping up and going home. It is 5 o'clock at that point, 2.5 hours ago. And so if Frank was going to be done working at 6 o'clock, does that mean Freddie on his first day was going to be spending 4 hours on the warehouse all by himself? What's he going to do on his first day with only knowing about an hour of being, because we know that this is Freddie's first day on the job. That later on it becomes a running joke sort of thing, a bit of a punchline about him just starting this job. The fact that on his first day, he's going to be showed around for about an hour and then he's by himself for 4 hours, which, I mean, I don't understand the situation. The group of them decide that, okay, maybe not as a group, but it's pointed out that Skuz points out, hey, let's hang out over there. And of course, we're talking about the cemetery that's conveniently located between the cryptorium and the warehouse, is this cemetery, and how they're gonna apparently spend their time there. But the decision of whether they are going to or not is not made, because that's where this particular minute ends. So we
that
then
scene is really epic in terms of like the music, the driving, the whole interaction. It looked like there was supposed to be so much more interaction that just didn't really happen in the car because it was such a short clip, but I imagine they filmed a lot more than that.
Well, actually, because I was just going to point that out, thanks to you, actually. Those that have been listening in and all that, Dan is the one that pointed out the rough cut working draft version of this movie that I've been going through, comparing minutes and whatnot, usually come up at the end, but seeing you brought it up now, this is actually so far the most complete, accurate sequence from the rough cut to the final cut. The only difference is there's the rough cut doesn't have the music in the background. There's which is kind of neat, because you get to hear a little more of the conversation when Suicide turns and attacks Spider in the car. There is a couple more, a line by each of them said to each other, but you don't hear it because it gets drowned out by the damned, the music that's being played and whatnot. But you can hear what they're saying, and it is in that cut. But other than that, between the beginning of this minute to the end of this minute, it's almost exactly what is in the rough cut. There's no extra stuff and all that, which is kind of weird, because as we come up to our next sequence, over on the commentary track, which again is director and writer Dan O'Bannon and production supervisor William Stout, sitting down, watching through the movie, talking about what's happening up on the screen. So at the end of the previous minute, William Stout was talking about the particular shot that he used as an illustration that he made for a comic book. At this moment, Dan O'Bannon points out that it is his, meaning William Stout's, comic. William Stout then adds the description of how the illustration he made using the image from the movie, as inspiration for his art. It also includes an image of Ed Gein, who is the inspiration for Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho and countless other things, but that's not what he says. He stopped at the Psycho part. I just added the, and you know what, other things. When the movie, when in the movie, Teeny grabs the wheel, because they basically stopped talking to that point. When Teeny grabs the wheel after Suicide's Let's Go to attack Spider, Dan O'Bannon scoffs and mentions how the actress of Tina, who is played by Beverly Randolph, ends up marrying his assistant art director. This is Dan O'Bannon's assistant art director, whose name is Clayton Harley. When the movie then shows the exterior of the warehouse, Dan O'Bannon points out that they added the sign to the building that they found, and how they added the walls and the trees of the cemetery next to the building, even though the cemetery itself was, and William Stout adds that it was out in Somar, which was an olive grove. Dan O'Bannon then continues about how Bill, again referring to William Stout, had designed the wall of the Resurrection Cemetery. And at that moment, we have to stop, because that's where the minute stops, and we're going to stop the commentary there. We pick it up in the next minute. According to the script, which again is Return of the Living Dead story and screenplay by Dan O'Bannon, this is again the revised October 1983 edition, based on the story and screenplay by John Russo, Rudy Rickey, and Russell Steiner. pretty much the conversation from where Suicide and Tina have about Freddy getting a job and all that is pretty much the same, except for when Suicide says, "Yeah, maybe he'll buy me something for me." Tina then says in the movie that he doesn't like your kind of stuff, Suicide. In the script, Tina says he doesn't like PCP, Suicide, which goes to refer that the Suicide character is a little more hardcore than what he actually turns out to be.
Something about ratings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But also it continues on once the script gets to the point where Suicide attacks Spider. We now actually have where in the movie it goes on, the vehicle drives off, and then they pull up towards the warehouse. We actually have an extra scene that actually isn't filmed. And it goes a little something like this. Just as, yeah, you think I'm spooky, do you? What the fuck do you think? Who the fuck do you think you are? Is when Suicide says as he attacks Spider. Now, in the script, I'm going to say what it actually says, but in this, the script refers to a character called Meat, who later then becomes Spider. Again, the same thing with the character of Dee Dee in the script eventually becomes Trash. So if I say Meat, I'm talking about Spider. And if I say Dee Dee, I'm going to be talking about Trash. And again, I say that now because both those are about to come up in this next little sequence. So, Meat. Try to get us out alive, okay? Suicide. Are you criticizing my driving? Casey. You call this driving? Suicide. You want to see driving? I'll show you driving. Meat. Hey, take it easy, man. Suicide points out the window. See that chicken? Okay, here's where we really get strange. A large chicken. Okay, this is a descriptor. This is a descriptor for this next sequence. A large chicken is walking by the side of the road. Suicide twists the wheel and aims the car towards the chicken. Oh, it gets better. Everyone starts screaming. The chicken takes off running up onto the sidewalk. Suicide follows it. He goes crashing up on the sidewalk, hurling everyone around with the car. The chicken runs crazily across the median divider. Suicide goes crashing across the divider into the other lane. The chicken runs across the street. Suicide chases it across the street. The chicken flies over the fence in a flurry of feathers. It's escaped. Suicide hits the brakes and screeches to a stop. The car is sitting on the curb. Suicide guns the car, and they take off again. So then it goes, Suicide. Now we'll pick up Freddy. Meat. Suicide. You're not only a fool, you're a fucking asshole. We then cut to the exterior facing the medical supply. Which is basically pretty much the whole entire thing. There's a couple of edited words that are a little different and whatnot, nothing too spectacular. That's pretty much where we actually end up. However, the thing is, in the script version of it, Freddy actually gets off at 8 o'clock. According to Tina, she says, Chuck asks, what time does Freddy get off? Tina says 8 o'clock. So Chuck looks around. Across the street from the medical supply warehouse is an old cemetery surrounded by a high stone wall. The sign above the arched gateway says Resurrection Cemetery. And then Chuck points at the sign. Chuck, we could wait in there. Tina says, isn't that sacrilegious? Scuzz, not if we're respectful. Chuck, we can see him come out when he gets off work. Suicide, all right, let's check this place out.
Yeah, resurrection, now, little foreshadowing.
Exactly, yeah. And so that's what we got for the script portion of this particular minute. So yeah,
so that was kind of, could you imagine trying to film the chicken?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was no way that scene was actually going to be put in, which is another reason why there's such, more than likely, a hard cut between the two scenes to show that it is like, because like we have music leading up until the car wildly drives away across the railroad tracks, and then it suddenly cuts to a new shot with no music that was carried over to show that there's obviously been some sort of progress
time
passing and all that, which is a standard way to do that sort of thing. To if the music were to continue on, yes, you definitely have cut out a chicken chasing scene.
Oh man, that would have been awesome though. I would love to watch that, but
yeah, But again,
But they
like I
did a
said,
nice job though of showing time passing, because I've seen other movies where, to me, it hurts sometimes when you see them and they're like, wow, they really failed at that. Oh, let's just use Star Wars as an example when they go to find Luke at the end. Yeah. It took them forever to put that map together, but 50 seconds across the street, there he is.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
It should have been should have started the next movie with that.
we should have, yeah, it should have totally been stretched out a little better like that. That's for sure.
That was
That's for sure.
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
that's just a prime example of how it can be done poorly. Whereas way back in the 80s there,
mhm.
they transitioned so beautifully to show that they continued riding around for a while before going and still having to wait.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
When I this particular part, it always made me think these guys are the Power Rangers, because they would like the geek, they had the, well, I'm lack of a less offensive word, they had Token, they had they had the tough guy, the pretty
Right.
guy,
Yeah.
it was just funny to me how they like pulled it all together and called them the punks.
Do you have that? Yeah, well, see, that was the thing too, because originally, the original concept was it was going to be a group of punks, and when Dan O'Bannon was writing it, it was going to be a group of punks and all that. It wasn't until they actually started casting, and they started putting wardrobe onto the characters. Is like, because originally, like, part of the story is Tina's costume that Beverly Rudolph ends up wearing. Was actually a costume that Miguel, who plays Spider, was originally wearing. So apparently she got that outfit from him. So he
Which
was,
would have been punk.
yeah, which would have been, yeah, for that guy to be in that sort of a punk sort of thing. Now, I don't think the whole entire thing was probably the shirt or something like that or
Yeah, but
whatnot. But
still, yeah, like,
yeah. And then because you didn't portray Freddy as an actual punk. You like
well,
the
see, but the problem for me was Freddie was dressing up for his new
yes,
job,
yes, that's the
or
thing.
gown,
That's the
if you
thing.
will.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yes, yes, yes. And again, you had Scuzz, who is a punk character. You had Trash, who is a punk character. There's no way that Casey she is definitely not punk. She's got
But
the
she's
spiked up
dating
hair.
one, so I
Well,
kind of could let that go in a way.
no, because like Casey and Chuck are not dating. She does not like. I mean,
Oh, I have to rethink my names here, so I'm
yes,
thinking probably,
Suicide and Trash are in a relationship.
yeah, and I was
Tina
thinking
and
Tina
Freddie
and Freddie.
are in a
Yeah,
relationship, but no one else is in a relationship.
right.
So
Me
yes.
mixing my peoples up.
Yes. I mean, Chuck wants to be in a relationship. Chuck is a bit of a horn dog that way, but he is definitely does not have a backbone that
Yes,
any person can respect, which is the character. I mean, it's the way he is, and that's why he's
yes.
dressed the preppy way that he is, sort of thing. It's he's the Ducky of the group, to bring in another 80s reference of
In the 80s, I was the preppy kid with all the metalheads in my school.
right.
So it was kind of weird. I
Yeah.
had the pretty popped collar and the short spiky hair and the
Mm-hmm.
geek glasses. And they were, as my kids call them, geek glasses. 'Cause they were huge, apparently.
Right.
I thought I was cool. But yeah, everybody I hung out with was like long haired, dirty,
Yeah.
out back skipping class. And
Mhm. But like I've also pointed out before, it doesn't matter what these kids look like. They still act as if they're friends. They act as they're believable as a group of friends that would hang out. They don't look
oh,
like they would, but the
um,
way they act with each other, they are definitely buddies for a while. And they
oh, I
like, yeah,
completely buy it. That's
yeah,
kind of where I was going with it. Was
yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's friends can be anybody.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and just look at our own personal grouping of friends and whatnot. They're from all sorts of
We're all models. I get
exactly,
it.
exactly. It's tough being this beautiful.
It is. It hurts. But yes, I do understand.
Yeah. So prior to us actually recording just a little while ago, you sent me a list, which is quite cool. You sent me a list of the title Return of the Living Dead from different places around the world, which is kind of neat. So where did you get this? Did you just look it up, sort of thing, or did you? I didn't even think of doing this sort of thing.
Um, while I was looking up the, of all things, bumper sticker,
Oh, right.
this list came up
Oh, okay.
because there was a site all about the living dead, and they went, oh, and here's what it was called in these countries.
Right, 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 right.
And having seen many of the other countries, how they can have very funny translations.
Right, yeah, for certain reasons they can't use a certain word in their language, or it doesn't mean anything or something like that, or
Yeah,
yeah.
this has been a little bit entertaining. Some of them don't make sense.
Right, right, right.
Why is this one Google Translate saying this is Spanish is just silly? The first one, of course, being German. And so that one I have looked up, and it's the Verdammt. Verdammt. I can't even do these, so forgive me. Verdammt is MMT,
Yes,
comma, die Zombies kommen. So,
yes.
of course, the zombies come.
Right, right, yeah, yeah.
That one is just hilarious. Let's get this. The second one, of course, was Spanish, El Regreso de los Muertos, which is just the same, Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look up one now from Finland. Oh, also very
I would
boring.
I would not even be able to attempt what you have written here.
I won't.
Elevin
'cause-
Kulinden Palu.
Yeah, I have nothing on that. Because I know
Elvian.
the A is like
Yeah.
Evian, because it's got the Ublek. So
Oh,
it's
right, right. I didn't even think of that. Right. So El Elevin,
Avian.
Elvin,
Avian.
but EL, right, is oh, I don't even know. Do you
But
have it? Do you have
uh,
how to pronounce it at least?
no, not a clue.
Okay.
I do
All right.
know that the A with Oobleck should be more like, I
All
believe,
right.
is the aw.
It would probably be more embarrassing to just like, yeah, you know what? We'll skip that one. Less embarrassing, sorry, to just, you know what? We'll skip that.
Yeah. Le Retour des Morts Vivants, French.
Yeah, yeah.
Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the, yeah.
Good and boring.
Which is basically, yeah, it is basically just a direct translation of the words. So yeah. But technically it would be,
Wow.
wouldn't the translation, doesn't the way French work, wouldn't it be The Living Dead Return, if I remember
Uh,
correctly? If I remember my friggin' basic grade 7 French,
see, I would think so too, but I think I
just for
don't
the
know.
sake of the American to translate just word for word sort of thing, I guess. I don't know. And then your Italian one,
Ooh.
again,
Le
your Italian
Return
one
de
is,
Morte Viviente.
yeah, again,
Sounds nice, eh?
yeah, it sounds great, but it's again, it's the Return of the Living Dead. It's just a straight out word for word. However, your
Japan.
Japan is yeah. Now, is it the same word twice, or is it just two different spellings of it?
They are
Battalion, battalion, because one has a double L in it.
agreed. And I will tell you in a second whether or not this is truly. They both sound the same. Battalion, battalion. But when it
Battalion,
does the
battalion.
English, it doesn't translate to English. So
Oh, the word
I don't know.
battalion doesn't translate?
Not from Japanese.
Oh.
So I'm not sure that that's the Japanese.
And yeah,
Uh,
no, I'm not even gonna attempt Poland because that's ridiculous.
this,
What I'm gonna do is in the show notes, if anyone's interested, I will have these all written out, and you guys can go ahead and translate your own. See how close me or Dan made it to what it actually is. If anyone has any other opinion, you know what? Give us a shout if
this
you
could
want
be
to.
awesome. Go. No, it's boring again. Return of the Living Dead. Polish.
Oh,
Ooh, let's see. I can hear it. It's Pavrot,
okay.
Zevik, Tropov.
All right. That I'm as I'm looking at it while you're saying it, sure, we'll go with that. And
I
that's
had
the
no idea
Polish.
that W's were V's.
No, no. Okay,
But
like I said, I'll put these in the show notes, and if
yeah,
anyone can help us with any sort of translation, that because apparently Google Translate isn't being as fun as it should be. But yeah, give us a shout if you want to talk to us about anything that happened in this particular minute or any upcoming minute, or you have anything to say or a correction that you might have or an observation that we sort of skipped over. Give us a shout at our Gmail, which is planetgeekpod@gmail.com. We'll carry on the conversation there, or maybe even roll it into an actual episode. All right, so that pretty much is going to bring us to the end of this particular minute. We're getting down to the point where these episodes are going to be a little bit on the shorter side, so they're not a big slog, because obviously when I bring in someone new, they're going to be a little longer because we have to get their their feelings on the movie and the genre of horror. And I don't need to, I mean, if you want to listen to hear what Dan has to say about zombie movies and how he doesn't like horror movies. And once again, Mr. Dan, I thank you for joining me. Hopefully see you in a nearby future episode. And like I said, we're rolling into the actual main story. We're going to get a lot more of the cool effects and settings and whatnot that we come to have loved from this particular movie. And I hope that everyone will that's been listening along has been enjoying themselves. And
yeah, thank you very much. Bye.
Only thing I had to say now is see you next Wednesday.
You've just been listening to a Planet Geek production of Do You Want to Party? A Movies by Minute podcast of the 1985 The Return of the Living Dead. Please be sure to subscribe, download, comment, share, rate, and review. Be sure to follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Tumblr, or Letterboxd. Search for Planet Geek Productions. X, former Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, search for Planet Geek Pod. Or send us an email to planetgeekpod@gmail.com. Our closing music is provided by Night Chill. See the show notes for more details. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and farewell, fiends.
Sorry, I was having some fun since you wanted me to mention them. I was getting some of the Google translations to see if there was anything funny.
Oh, I see. Okay.
They could be awesome.
Oh, so what do you got? Okay, so
far Spanish is boring.
Okay. Hello there, kitty cat.
My co-star showing up. Yeah.
I had to scoot the dog out of here a moment ago because she was gonna she was like up in my face, and of course you know how dogs are. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? I need you to leave.
I wasn't expecting my cat to join me at all.
Where's my notes for this? I have my notes in here. My notes are on my phone, which is always a convenient place for them to be.